Hello, everybody, and welcome back here in the Fandom Zone. And it's your favorite YouTuber, bringing you some news, some serious news tonight. These segments I'm gonna do, these new segments I'm gonna do is a brand new segment that I want to start for all of you guys. They're gonna be a little bit of more serious chats, some more serious discussions, and of course I'm going to have my father come on for these discussions. Some of them are going to be chats that I want you guys to have some perspectives on, get some different insights. I started this serious news segment to do things that will spark conversation, where everybody can come here in this channel and talk about some things that maybe you can't talk about, because we all know how the Twitterverse works and how YouTube can be. And tonight, I'm going to kick this off with a very sensitive topic, a very sensitive subject matter that no one seems to want to cover. But you know how I do here in the Fandom Zone. I like to talk about the things that nobody else will. Hence the name General Zod. I'm gonna be rebelling against the system, rebelling against the establishment, and we're gonna hit these topics with facts and logic and reasoning, and just chat about them, and get your guys' opinions and thoughts and ideas. So with me, I'm gonna have a guest tonight. You guys all know him. He is the Admiral Zod, one could say, or the Elder Zod. Anyways, I'm gonna have him come out for us. So welcome to the channel. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good, doing good. I am really excited to tackle this subject because this is a subject that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And here on the channel, I like to shake the trees, so to speak, to talk about some of the stuff that other YouTubers don't want to talk about or even touch. And the sad part about this whole thing is that people are so scared, people are so terrified to talk about these things. And the irony about it is that we should be able to have discussions, because this particular subject we're going to talk about tonight, this particular thing affects everybody. It's affected Hollywood, it's affected the media, and how people are all of a sudden pulling out of roles, backing out of things, and they're having all this guilt about portraying certain roles as actors and ridiculous nonsense. And even the common person is walking on eggshells when talking about this. So we're going to illuminate this subject, and it's on everybody's favorite subject that's been widely chatted about, and that's the BLM, or the Black Lives Matters movement. So in case you guys have been living under a rock and you don't know what's going on, this movement has been doing things for a while, but they've really gained headway and started gaining some national attention with the death of George Floyd. And I've covered that on the channel here, but it's kind of given them a license and a reason to have more spotlight. And now you got actors and actresses that want to be cool, and they're backing this whole ridiculous thing that's going on. And it's not to say that protest itself is wrong, or that you can't stand up for a cultural movement or for someone who has been wronged in some way based on their race, creed, gender, whatever. But the lengths that they've taken this, and the fact that this movement, as we'll point out in the show, has been exploited, and it's not what people are thinking that it is. It's not the movement that people, and I'm going to say these younger college kids and all these other people who are behind this, and you see them on Twitter and social media running their mouths. It's not that kind of movement that they think it is. There's a very dark underbelly to this movement, and we're gonna talk about that. So before we get started, let's dive into first, because we were kind of talking about this off air. Um, what's what is the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement? Because you were telling me this off air, and there was really something else before this came about. Even the acronym was kind of stolen, kind of like this movement has been hijacked. And we'll get into who's hijacked this movement later in the program. But what did this come from? You're telling me there was another movement that had this acronym before it became Black Lives Matter.
Yes, originally the movement was Blue Lives Matter. It was created after two police officers were executed in the car in New York City. And Blue Lives Matter came out. And to counter that, three women by the name of Alicia Garla, Patrice Cullery, and uh, Opal Tomati. Those were the names of the three women that originally started Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, if you go on the website, it is one of the most brilliant organizations that you'll ever see created. And what they're doing is they have their own journalism school, and what they're doing is they're taking young people and they're coming up with money and they're helping to put them through journalism school. Basically, they're taking these young people and teaching them all the Marxist ways that they believe in. When these three women originally started Black Lives Matter, it was more for the LGBTQI community than it was for Black Lives Matter. The one of the Alicia, she's married to a woman that is now a man, and then the second partner is also in a marriage with a same-sex marriage. And if you look on the site, well, you'll see a lot of stuff written toward and about the LGBTQI community. And people think this is about Black Lives Matter. It's not. It's more about the gay community than the Black community. And if
Which is
yes,
that's ironic. That's pretty ironic because uh this is portrayed, this is spearheaded by that very media that they're obviously raising up, right? They're putting these kids to school to foster this kind of, the same media mentality that we've been seeing. And if you guys
Marxist.
been on my channel, you know how I feel about the media. I can't stand the slanted one-sidedness, and we've seen it more. I mean, I'm not stating anything that isn't true. Read a movie review or anything else. Their views have become so openly slanted, it's ridiculous. And it's funny you mentioned the website, and you guys can go on. I'm not saying anything that's not facts. My dad's not saying anything that's not facts. This is on their website, right? They're promoting this on their website, but people don't read between the lines, right? You see it on TV, you get the few news articles, the slanted news articles, and people don't research to actually see what's behind the curtain. And before we continue, I want to say, All Out Bubblegum, welcome. I haven't seen you before on the channel. How you doing? And of course, Jamie Vick. Always good to have the lovely Jamie Vick with us. Yes. But getting back to the point, it's kind of funny that you mentioned the whole thing about them putting people through a journalist school, because it feels like they're churning out more of these one-sided journalists. And it used to be you could pick out some people. Hey, Curtis. Hey, Thomas. It used to be you could pick out some fair journalism, right? The Post, the Times, all of these magazines used to be reputable. They used to source things, they used to talk to people, and now they don't. So many articles have had to retract statements that they've said because they just are downright lies or slanted the truth, right? And this website And these people are putting these kids through college, indoctrinating them just to give them more of their views. They're creating more through this corporate machine.
Well,
I just had to say that because that's what it sounds like to me.
one of the members that started this, her name is Patrice Cullors. She considers her mentor to be a gentleman named Eric Mann, who was a member of the Weather Underground. And as a member of the Underground, he spent time in prison for blowing things up. And he's a Jewish gentleman, and he's from Brooklyn. So, and that is her mentor. And this man is the furthest thing in the world from an African American. And she brags how this gentleman's her mentor, along with Castro. And what I found out is that they are being supported also by Maduro. He is the leader of Venezuela, where the people are starving right now. And Maduro, right at this time, is actually has invited them down there to Venezuela. He considers the movement here to be a very big thing in this country. And also, what's happening, they are collecting their money through Act Blue. Act Blue is part of the Democratic Party. And so the money that's being donated to BLM is going directly to Act Blue, who takes the money and divides it. Act Blue is a total Democratic Party machine. And the reason that Act Blue helped get BLM off the ground was because of the fact that they were not keeping up in their campaign raising, and Trump was way ahead of them. And they knew that if they couldn't come up with money to battle Trump, that they would get slaughtered. So right now, what's all the money coming through BLM is being funneled into the Act Blue. So yeah, and Act Blue at this time is taking the money. And as soon as after Lee speaks, I will get further into where this money's going.
Yeah, before we continue, I want to welcome the colorist, and the late PB. Welcome.
Oh, I'm
PB.
late. What do you mean late? I thought that I was right on time. We
You're
didn't
right
start
on
at 10:10.
Yeah, right on time.
So, PB, let me just ask you, what do you think? Because I know when you're in the back or whatever, you could still hear what's going on. What do you think about finding out that this Black Lives Matter, this movement that's supposed to be for the people, that the African American community and helping them make better, is being funded and is funding a political party? Now, keep in mind, this is supposed to be for the people, right? But these funds are going towards a party that's running in a race, right? Does this shock you?
No, not in the least. I mean, it's to be expected. If it's, Black Lives Matter, that means Democrat policies matter.
And the thing that really is pretty incredible, that Maduro, the head of Venezuela, who has his people starving right now, these people are actually consistently going down to Venezuela to see him. And one of the members' biggest hero, as I said, was the head of the Underground, which was a violent group during the 70s. And also, they're very big on Fidel Castro. And they say that. And you can find that all over their website. But the money with Act Blue, now this is where it gets really, the number one money from BLM went to Bernie Sanders out of anybody. And the only reason they gave Joe Biden money is because Bernie Sanders didn't win. All three members of BLM are big supporters of Elizabeth Warren. They have given to her in all her campaigns, and all three of them state that Elizabeth Warren is the person that they prefer to be president. So right now they're talking about next week, Joe Biden is going to select somebody of African American descent. Don't be surprised if it's Elizabeth Warren, because Black Lives Matter wants it to be Elizabeth Warren. They don't really want a black running mate. They want Elizabeth Warren, and they want Bernie Sanders to be there. And that's why you see Joe Biden picking up all of Bernie Sanders' policies right now, because he's being told, if you want our money, you have to do this. And that's what they're doing right now, is funneling. And also, they're funneling money to two George Soros's committees. And I found that this is disturbing, because they're both committees that George Soros has had for years. And what they're doing is the money that's coming into the BLM is being collected by Act Blue. Act Blue is like a collection agency. And all the money that's being donated winds up into the Act Blue bank accounts and stuff. And a good percentage of this money is going to George Soros. And as we know, George Soros has all these people going all around the country protesting and collecting, being paid good money. So the money is coming, that's how it's being funneled right now and when you really think about it, it's kind of a scary thing.
I love what Thomas Connolly here said. He said, nothing new. Everything is political, is all game. That's why everyone should speak your own truth. Exactly. And here's the thing that is, and All Out Bubblegum said, hypocrisy knows no bounds. But here's the thing that I wanted to get across, because here on the channel, if you guys follow me or watch my other content, I talk a lot to do about the entertainment side. That's kind of my bag, right? But I wanted to do a serious segment, and this connects directly to the entertainment stuff that I do, because you have Hollywood and the elitists coming out, right? They're all about jumping on the Black Lives Matters train, and like, oh, I'm not going to take a role because I'm white and I shouldn't be playing another role of a different ethnicity and all of this stuff. But, deep down, this isn't a movement that's out to help a group of people. This is a movement out to help a political party. This is all politics, where, in fact, this should be about helping the community. Now, let me ask you something, because I'm sure people want to know, and I try to keep it fair and balanced here in the Fandom Zone. Don't want to be accused of being an angry white man speaking out against, cultures or whatever, but has this group, in fact, ever really done anything to help better or benefit the Black community? Do they have any fundraisers for them? Do they have any funds going to, helping youth centers, or, get these gang kids off the street, or help people in poverty, or maybe businesses that might be in debt? Are they running anything like that?
Actually, they are. They're donating a lot of money to Planned Parenthood, which is 70% of Planned Parenthood's abortions are being done in the Black communities. And a big portion of their money is going to Planned Parenthood. And not many people even realize that. The most amazing thing about this? You can go on Act Blue website, you can go on BLM's website and see all this. This isn't like stuff being made up. It's all there in writing.
So hold on. Their money, the thing that they're choosing to help, just so I have this straight, because I want to make sure I'm not putting out anything false. So they're literally helping fund Planned Parenthood, and I mean, there are good aspects of Planned Parenthood, people. There's the abortion end. There is the end that helps with contraception and awareness and all of that. But on the other flip side of that, with the abortions and the things like that, and look, we're not going to get into that sticky conversation of pro-choice or none of that, because that leads down the dark rabbit hole. But out of all the things they could choose to fund, right? I just mentioned community centers, things to make the neighborhoods better, right? hell, opening a rec center, things like that. They're choosing to funnel the money into Planned Parenthood. Did you by chance come across why or what their reasoning is for it?
It's not. It's Act Blue. It's basically what it is. The money was cut off by Trump going into when they were doing the budget. He cut back a lot of money going into Planned Parenthood. So they found a new way to get money to Planned Parenthood. BLM is the greatest money machine ever created. You got companies giving them. I'll give you an example. Nike has just laid off 500 workers in Oregon. And at the same time, they have donated $50 million to Black Lives Matter because they had a choice. They just had their worst quarter because of COVID ever in the history of the company. They lost 36% of their value. So they still are so afraid of not getting the Black community to buy their sneakers that they decided that it was better to donate money to keep everybody happy in Black Lives Matter and in the Democratic Party. And at the same time, they laid off 500 people who are very angry right at this moment. And this is the thing we're going to see come election time. And this is what I believe is going to happen. These states like Oregon that Trump has never won, and Minnesota that hasn't been won by a Republican in a long time. Right now, they're putting these polls that Trump is way behind, but a poll just came out in Rasmussen 2 days ago where he's at 50% right now, but they never talk about a Rasmussen poll, even though it's been proven to be the most legitimate poll. I have a funny feeling come election time, he's going to win states, and all of a sudden you're going to see him on the news with their face down and the jaws dropping saying, we can't understand why he's winning these states. Because you have the working man in Oregon and the working man, and we're talking about black, yellow, we're talking about all people are angry. They're angry at what's going on. A perfect example, when they had the riots down in Atlanta, there was this great video. These trucks of white kids was coming down all over the city of Atlanta and dropping bricks off on the street corners and big piles of bricks. And they were driving away. And there was this black gentleman that filmed it and said, can you believe that these white people are dropping these bricks here? And they want us to take these bricks and throw them through the windows here?
And here's the thing that's hilarious, because I had someone in the comments saying that only white knighting and virtue signaling, they don't even realize that it makes them look racist, is that that's the point exactly. These people, through these actions, right, in their mind, by supporting this and by dropping the bricks and all of that, they think that they are helping out the community, but they're perpetuating the stereotype, right? They're making it look like that while this is going on, black people in the community are rioting and they're wanting to loot and rob stores. I mean, you have people who are of different races and nationality who own those stores, right? You have tons of people who own stores. You have you know, gas stations and you know, whatever, you know, shops, businesses around the areas. Do you think they want people grabbing those bricks and throwing it in the window of their business? I mean, it's really asinine.
I'd like to ask PB a question. PB, being that you're African American and you have more, you have more of an insight to your community than myself or Lee does. What I'd like to ask you is, do you see?
Did you just say that I was black?
Do you see in your community something opposite than what the media is saying?
No, I live in the woods.
Well, because I asked you that question because Rasmussen said, and everybody's saying they're crazy, but Rasmussen said 40% of African American men support Trump.
I mean, I don't know. That number doesn't sound like it would be totally ridiculous to me.
Because they're making it sound like it's only 8%. It sounds like to me, if all this stuff is true, we're getting ready for an election where Trump's going to win by a landslide, and then he's going to be claimed that he's cheating.
Well, I mean, if it's 8%, then we're sitting at the exact same number that we were at when Obama was elected. And I don't think that there's any way that he's going to get only 8%, especially when he's running against an empty shell.
And now there's another gentleman that's part of, and this is quite hilarious, a part of BLM. His name is Sean King. He's one of the head guys, and he's been in trouble for doing a bunch of collecting money and putting up websites and stuff, and the money disappearing. And he's considered like a legend among BLM. But you know what they're not telling us about Sean King? He's not black. He's pretending he's black. His birth certificate says
I'm
that
not black either.
Huh?
I'm not black either.
Well, they're saying that Sean King, they came out with a story on it last year that Sean King's father and mother are white, and that and then Sean King answered, "But my mother told me that she had an affair with a very light-skinned black man." That was his answer.
Oh my God.
And you know what? MSNBC and CNN go, "Oh, really, Sean? He's just like that chick out in Portland that was pretending that whatever she out there in Washington or Oregon that was pretending that she was black, and she wasn't for years." So Sean King, who's a white man, is pretending he's black, and he's one of the leaders of, this whole thing. The women that run it are all running based on being part of the LGBTQI community. And Sean King is white. None of these people that are running this thing are legitimate. They're not running it for the purpose of African Americans. I don't see them.
They're running it for the purposes of making money and funneling it to the Democrat Party or to shell corporations that can push forward the Democrat agenda.
Exactly. And there's a lot, and right now there's a lot of warring going on inside of BLM. There's the black people that realize what's going on. And there's a lot of black people who are pretty religious and don't believe in all of the LGBTQI community beliefs. And they're being, and they know what's going on. So there's like a civil war within BLM right now for control of it. And the people that have control right now are a bunch of old, white, liberal men. That's who.
Which is ironic about the whole thing. That's the irony of it, is that people are very venomously defending this whole thing, this whole cause, because of certain things and situations that have happened. And the thing that they're defending is not even what it is perceived to be, like we've been seeing in the year since probably 2016, going all the way till now, 2020, is everything is not as it appears to be. You look at something and it's all window dressing, and it's all becoming politicized and political. This whole Black Lives Matters thing, maybe on paper, maybe in theory, is good, right? It's about helping the community out and helping stand up for certain rights and things like that. But in all actuality, it's none of the money is getting to where it needs to get to. They're not doing anything noteworthy or noticeable about it, except for leading these protests that wind up holding up traffic. Stop doing that shit. People got to go to work. Okay. Don't run a protest in the middle of Milwaukee when people got stuff to do. Okay, me and a girlfriend had a doctor's appointment. People
But
are out
why
there.
not, man? That's where you got to do it. You got to shut down commerce and fuck everyone's life up so that they know that you support black people living, apparently.
I seen quite a funny video the other day. There was a black man that was driving to work and he was late and he was really pissed and he jumped out of his car and there were like 30 white people pretending they were part of BLM. When they seen how pissed this black guy was, they all started running. They all jumped off the street, got off the street, let the cars through and everything. And the guy was yelling, "I'm sick of you little white bastards." And it's like, wow, these guys were just scared daylights running,
And
it was very funny, actually.
and here's the thing. I put this picture in the background and on the thumbnail, and I selected this picture because I wanted to do like a test and everyone who could see the picture or the thumbnail. What do you see wrong with that picture? Okay. There is like 4 white kids in there, I'm assuming college age. It stopped the hate and all this other nonsense holding those signs, right? But if you look at the protests and some of those rallies or watch the news or things like that, if you want to watch that slanted mess, you'll notice that a lot of mixed in that protest, there's a lot more white people in that protest, these young college kids.
They're estimating right now that 70% of BLM is white. And that's what a lot of people are getting very furious about. And if you go on to the Black Lives Matter website, it talks about they're recruiting 15 to 18-year-old white kids. They are literally recruiting them because basically they can be controlled very easy, and they can be told to riot, and that's exactly what's going on. Like now they got this new thing where they're talking about vans with evil officers from the federal pulling over and pulling people in vans and driving away, and that's the new thing that the media is talking about. But the reason that they're waiting that these people are alone because they're waiting till they get away from the crowds. And then what they're doing is they're swooping in and arresting them and taking them away in vans because they don't want to go into the crowds. It makes perfect sense. And all these people that they've picked up have all been released and all got court dates. But the media is not reporting that they've been released. They're acting like these people are being picked up and just disappearing.
Yeah, I hate to alert everyone, but this is not a communist country that we live in. You just don't pick people up off the street and make them disappear. We are not
man,
in
give
like
Bernie Sanders some time. We'll be communists before you know it.
like, and here's the thing, when you talk about these ideas, right? And why we're talking about this tonight is that, look, it's fine to have these views. Look, the things that have happened in the black community, I mean, some of us here grew up in the 90s. We remember the days of NWA and when the police in particular in Los Angeles were a little heavy-handed in their tactics, okay? That stuff happened. It was a thing. But
I get confused. When you say NWA, I think wrestling.
No, I can't. I'm too white to say the acronym for that. But if you guys follow rap, you know who I'm talking about.
What do you mean? You're too white to say the Oh my God, man. Unbelievable.
Unfortunately, in my life, I've dealt with some cops. And let me tell you something. A lot of cops are the biggest dicks in the world. There's no doubt about it. What happened to George Floyd was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And that bastard that did that to him, he doesn't even deserve a trial. He's just a bad man. Him and George Floyd worked at the same club together. And George Floyd used to punk him at the club. And this ain't being reported. So this cop wanted to get even with George Floyd, and he had his opportunity, and that's why he had his knee on his throat and wouldn't let him up. These two were enemies. He was afraid of George Floyd. He wouldn't mess with George Floyd. George Floyd was a big dude. He wouldn't mess with George Floyd at the club. And this was a personal attack and a personal killing by a bad cop on a
And
bad,
look,
and that's what it comes down to.
and here's the thing they don't report is that, there are bad police officers and bad cops, but you know what they don't report? They don't report the police officers who risk their lives, who go out there every day in high crime neighborhoods or do routine traffic stops and things like that, and all the crap that they get from people, you know, watch cops. That's right, they canceled it. But if you ever watch
That show's
Cops,
going to be back real soon because of what's happening. They lost half their money.
I mean, but all those shows, you do see the other side of what police officers work with, and it's a thankless job. I commend anyone who's willing to put on the uniform now with the way that the world is and how thankless that they are to that service. And look, these same people who are protesting, right? These same people who want to cut police funding like idiots and get rid of officers and like downgrade their weapons and all that nonsense. They don't realize those people will be the same people calling 911. And when you don't get a response or you get a cop who comes with a taser instead of a gun, you're gonna wish that you hadn't cut that public funding that you guys so want to cut.
Sending a social worker to a domestic violence fight when a husband's really pissed off because he just found his wife with another dude. And then the social service is going to show up and say, "Oh, why are you upset? Why don't you sit down and talk to me?" Cops are scared daylights of going to domestic calls. It's proven that they're the most dangerous calls there are. And also, getting back to New York City. In New York City, they stopped the graduation class this year of the new police officers because of the cutbacks. And out of that class, there were 2,000 new officers coming in. 70% of those 2,000 officers were minority workers. So basically, defunding the police cost 70% of the new recruits who were minorities careers. So if anything, they hurt the Black and Hispanic community by.
They don't care about those lives.
No, they don't. And there was another thing of this girl. That was down in New York City, and she was yelling and screaming and taking paint of a Black woman, and she was rubbing down, saying, "We want police in our community. We want police in our community," because these people in these Black neighborhoods are scared daylights. Because they know what's going to happen. The gangbanger is going to take the neighborhoods over, and they're going to have to hide in their houses. They're never going to come out at night, and they're going to be afraid to come out during the daytime. Everything that they're doing right now is affecting the Black community more than it's affecting the white community or any other community. They're literally affecting their own community so badly. It is really sad.
I mean, PB, what are your thoughts about what's going on? Do you feel like this Black Lives Matter movement is helping? Do you think they're championing?
No, it's not fucking helping anything. That's a quality joke right there. Is it helping? It's helping clog up traffic.
It's not even Black people clogging it up. It's a bunch of white people with a couple light-skinned Black people thrown in.
I mean, and here's
Yeah.
And here's the thing that connects this too with the colleges. We've seen, okay, in the colleges themselves, PB, I forgot what college it was, but there was an article about it where it was about 2 years ago when the college rioted, right, because of people speaking. They wanted a Republican speaking there. Was it Harvard? I forgot which one it was.
It was from California.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was one of the upscale colleges. I think it was in California, and they started this big riot, and they're getting these type of kids, right? These kids who are safe space and personal bubble and all this nonsense that they have. Like these colleges, they have safe spaces. They're not so safe if you have a different point of view, but in theory, they're supposed to be a safe space, right? to talk about
Safe
things. These
spaces
are
are
the kind of
dangerous as
people.
fuck.
These are the kind of people that now they're drafting into these movements that are shams, and these kids are so brainwashed and so clueless that they don't even realize what they're signing up for. They don't realize what's really going on. They're falling for the smoke and the mirrors and the politics and the nonsense that that's going on with this. So what other fun facts do we have about this besides the funneling to other
Well,
political?
I just wanted to give you a clearer name of some of the groups that this money from BLM is being funneled into. The ACLU, which is the lawyers, they're getting a big portion of this money. And that's why you see these lawyers are probably developing this website and putting all the wording up. That's why you see such a brilliant website. I mean, I was reading this website today. It's one of the best organized, well-written websites I ever seen. And then the money's going to Planned Parenthood, MoveOn.org, which is run by Ceros, the Tides Foundation, which is run by Ceros. And it's also going to Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren were the number one people of getting the most money. And recently, more money has been going to Bernie Sanders than to Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden is the nominee. And the reason is they're buying Bernie Sanders quiet. They're asking him to be quiet and let this happen. And there's been a big thing right now. They want Elizabeth Warren to be the nominee for vice president because BLM and the people that run it want her to be the nominee.
They need a Cherokee to be vice president.
Yep. But unfortunately, Joe Biden kind of made a mistake when he totally committed to having a black woman. And so I believe it's going to be Susan Rice because she worked for Obama. And I believe this is what I believe is going to happen. It's going to be Susan Rice, and Barack Obama will be named Secretary of State and get back into the White House and take back over. There's no doubt Barack Obama's fingerprints are all over this. But I could see Barack Obama getting back in the White House. Do not be surprised if he becomes nominated as an attorney general. William Holder will definitely replace Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. So they have maybe Barack Obama. He is a lawyer. And you don't even have to be a lawyer to be named to the Supreme Court. People think you have to have a degree in law. You don't.
No, you just got to be a Mexican lady.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, Mr. Phoebe, do you want to read that very long comment by Mr. Stone Cold Jeremy?
Sure. They need to rename the movement. Many black people have died at the hands of other black people in the name of BLM. At what point do the lives actually matter? Make it make sense. Would have been better if I wouldn't have fucked it up.
And that's the thing. That's the irony of it, isn't it? It's supposed to be Black Lives Matter, but nothing that we've read off sounds like anything to do with that community. And actually, it's a brilliant, this whole thing, folks, this whole thing is a brilliant, well put together sham. It's a scam, it's a con, and it's by the greatest of con men of all time, politicians, the number one people for scamming.
And probably by one of the most brilliant men ever, Barack Obama. You know, whether you like Barack Obama or not, he's a very smart man. And Barack, like I said, his fingerprints are all over this. And usually presidents will never speak badly about presidents in office. But the other day at the funeral, when Barack Obama came out and was talking about how bad he was talking at John Lewis's funeral about Trump, calling him a dictator and how the election is going to be fixed and everything. You know, if Trump wins, they're going to go after him. If he loses, they're going to go after him because Trump's going to go after them. So we're going to get some really, really bad protests come November. We really
Yeah,
are.
and this is the thing. These protests are not affecting the people they want to affect. This is affecting the everyday person. I was saying the other day, we had a protest, and most of you people won't know what Waukesha is, but it's the best
It's an
point of reference.
Indian word.
The best point of reference is I'm near a bigger city. But even in my town, there were people with signs and stuff protesting. During the elections, there were people that were out and about protesting. These young college kids, and I'm really starting to hate the college system these days. It used to be when you were younger, right? And Dad, you can kind of verify this. The big thing used to be go to college,
I
right?
was
You're
never, I
gonna
was never,
further.
I've always felt like this.
Yeah, for as long as I can remember. But the big thing,
Yeah,
the biggest
you did this to me.
the biggest thing of that, the biggest thing is it used to be about higher education, right? That was the ticket. That was what was going to get you further. But even lower education is disgusting. I've gone, if you guys have been on my channel, I got my daughter. I've gone and I've seen some of the stuff that she brings back, some of the homework and things like that. They omit history. They teach stuff that doesn't help in the future. And they're starting from high school through these colleges, this programming, this nonsense, there's all of this racism around, there's all this sexism, there's all this bias. They're creating the bias and profiting off of it. I mean, can I gather that from how we are talking about this? They are literally profiting off of creating racial bias. That was never there. We were getting past this.
Someone
We've
made a
been getting past this since the 90s.
Somebody was making a good point that the ratings for these for all these newspapers are higher than ever because of Donald Trump. If Donald Trump loses and decides to go back home and never be seen again, their ratings are going to plummet. So I just think that something strange is going to happen for the election. I don't really think they want him to lose because everything's about the bottom line with these corporations. It's about the dollar.
And that's what we talk about here on the channel too, a lot with entertainment. What it all comes down to, whenever you see Hollywood or newspapers or anything jumping on these movements, these positive movements, as they say, whenever they're jumping on this hype train, it's not because they give a crap about making the community better. They don't care about that. They care about that, hey, oh, I'm sorry if I shocked you, PB. Yes, it's true. They don't care about making the community better. They care about the money they think they're going to get because they're helping this community. And when it backfires, it's the funniest thing to watch because make no mistake, all of this is going to backfire. It's all going to crash and burn.
Well, what's going to happen come election night. Just like last election, they were so sure that Trump was going to lose, and they're so sure again. And come election night, if the same thing happens again, the funniest thing is going to be watching their faces. Like, what do you mean he just won Pennsylvania? He was down by 8 points in Pennsylvania. People have to remember to come last election, he was down 12 to 14 points in October to Hillary Clinton. And now they're saying he's 12 to 14 points down. And it's not even close to the election. It's still 100 days off. And, what you got to think to yourself is nobody else would have stood up this long to this whole mess as Trump has, whether you like him or not. Trump is quite crazy. And he kind of likes this fight. And they're furious because they're tired of him fighting with them and not running. They were hoping to push him out of remember a couple months ago, they were saying that he's getting ready to drop out and everything, that he's going to be dropping out of the election. That's the rumor coming out of the White House. And it's not really happening. He's going to be there until the election. We'll see what happens comes election day.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This whole thing seems to be centered around a lot of politics. And I like what All Out Bubblegum said. PB, do you want to read that?
All Out Bubblegum said, college is the problem. These kids were told to go to college, did. Now they have a degree, tons of debt, no careers, and can't find jobs because Corona. I ad-libbed the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know the biggest thing too is that colleges within themselves are scams, right? Unless they get those select kids that are the chosen ones to lead the next charge into the media and things like that. But they pay all of this money, they go for these careers, and then when they go into the job market, there's nothing there. There's nothing in the job market, and now there's really nothing in the field that they
There's
want because
nothing in the job market. Listen, I'm 59 years old. I went and looked for a job 2 months ago because I wanted to get a job, make some extra money. I found 3 jobs in one day. I had my choice of picking the job that I wanted just in one day. So, I mean, there are jobs out there, but some people just think they deserve more money than they're getting. Some people want to
Oh,
start,
that's for sure.
they want to start with $100,000 right off the bat, and they don't realize, you got to work your way from the bottom to get to the top. And a lot of people just don't realize that. But, if you look at these protests and rioting, I was watching it the other day and I said, don't these people ever get tired of doing this? It looks exhausting. No. It really looks exhausting, and I hope George Soros is paying them good because it is exhausting.
Oh, hell yeah.
What do you think, Lee?
I seriously hope that they are getting paid, because I sit there, I work like 8 to 9 hours a day in a factory, and I just think to myself as I'm watching these protesters, when do these guys have time to sit there? They can't have jobs because when do they have the time to sit there and with their signs, their little homemade crafted signs, and hold up traffic? And they got to be getting paid, because there's no way they're making a living. They're going back home, that they even have a home.
George bought one of them a brand new tent.
They drive to these places. They drive in buses, and some of them come in really nice cars.
Yeah, you can't tell me that they're not getting some kind of compensation for this, especially with the way that things are now. I mean, it's getting a little bit better. Businesses are opening up. They're hiring new people. It's a myth if you think you can't get a job. I mean, there's plenty of things out there. But here's the thing with the college point. You're right about that. But the trick is, it's not that they can't find jobs. They can't find jobs in the field that they want to get into. And instead of doing the smart thing and getting a job.
They got a master's degree in poetry and they can't find a job in poetry. Look at the job. Look at the stuff they're taking in school, and they're surprised. There's only so many liberal arts students that can get jobs. I mean, exactly what do you get hired as if you got a liberal arts degree?
Yeah, you got me. I don't know what that translates into. I know that I've seen a lot of people who take that because it's an easy credit or whatever, but I don't know, just like with mass media and communications, what do you do with that, or any of these other ones that they have that people get? Or paleontologist.
I'm a 59-year-old. I'm a 59-year-old man right now, and I'm going to school online. I got a 4.0 grade point average, and I'm going to have my bachelor's degree soon. And I just decided that I wanted my bachelor's, so I decided to go back to school. And I'm getting on grants, not loans. So, and I'm doing really well, and I'm working. I mean, I'm not having, you're only as good as it's as if you try. You got to try in life to succeed. And if you don't try, a lot of people just wants everything to be handed to them. They don't have that desire to work hard. And
Well,
that's, yeah. What's up?
well, I'll tell you who does have a very good point and probably a desire to work. Curtis YZ says, jobs give a sense of accomplishment. If you are without one, it is quite shameful feeling, which is why I wonder if that contributes to the complaining. Yeah, when people don't have jobs, just anyone go online, go on Twitter or whatever else, right? I've had some pretty interesting Twitter debates, right? And you get these people who come out with these nonsensical things. And really, what does that stem from? It's because a lot of people are still laid off, right? So what do? They get on, they start reading these articles from top critics and journalists, and they think it's gospel. And then they start making these stupid quotes about things. So you reply to them, and then you go down this dark rabbit hole with this person who has no life, going back and forth about a subject, and you don't even remember what the original argument was you got into. But by the end of it, you're calling each other names and all sorts of ridiculousness. But there's too many people with that free time on their hands, just like there's too many people who are sitting here doing these protests because they got nothing else to do.
They built that country in Seattle, the autonomy zone. How long did that thing last? I mean, they were planting gardens on top of cardboard boxes. They were putting the dirt on top of cardboard boxes and planting. They thought they could start a nice little garden, and within 1 month, they were murdering each other. They covered up so much stuff there. You know who really should be prosecuted in this? Are these mayors and these governors of these states that are letting this happen. Sometimes I say to myself, is this really happening? Are these people really doing this? Because it's so unbelievable that it's happening. Whether it's Como in New York or these idiots out in the Northwest. I mean, you can't believe what's going on.
No, and this is the thing. And this is the fear, and why I want to talk about this is that right now, to the credit of, if we can give any credit to this movement, the protests have been peaceful. The stuff afterwards has not been. There's been a couple of instances of people doing stupid stuff, and me and PB covered this before. I think that's people just wanting free stuff. Like we heard this lady broke into a cheesecake factory. Why? It wasn't to make a statement. She wanted cheesecake. Okay?
Factory. That's why.
Exactly.
That's what I'm going.
The looting, people looting has nothing to do with protesting. Nowhere has anyone in the history of protesting looted stuff and been like, yeah, I deserve this because of all that hard protesting I did. No, it's old, selfish, greedy, motivated reasons. But here's the thing. This right now is peaceful, but there's going to come a point and there's going to come a time where I feel like with the tension that it's going to turn violent.
And it's going to happen in Texas. And let me tell you what happened in Austin last week. There was this gentleman that was on the TV, and he had this AK-47, and he was saying that people are scared of him. And he was a radical leftist, and he had this gun, and he was saying people are scared of him, and they wouldn't mess with him. 10 minutes later, he was laying in the middle of the street dead because he took his gun out and started shooting at this car that this cowboy was in. And this guy had an AK-47 shooting at this guy in the car. And the guy in the car had a pistol. Got out and killed the guy with the AK. Left him laying in the middle of the street and took off because he thought he was going to be jumped by all these protesters. But the fact of the matter is he had a pistol against an AK. You can have a gun. But if you don't know how to use it, it ain't going to matter. No, this little town that I live in here in Texas, BLM showed up about 2 months ago when they were by the courthouse. A bus pulled up, and they got in front. There was like 40 or 50 of them, And then all of a sudden, you've seen a bunch of these good old boys in pickup trucks come downtown, and they parked in the middle of town. There were like about 200 of them. BLM got in the bus and left. That's how
Yeah.
quick they left.
See, they're not going to operate in a place like that. They want to operate in a place where, ironically, like New York and stuff, the police aren't going to do anything to try to, keep everything in line, because they're scared that if they do something, they're going to be on the news, and it's going to be like, look at what the police officers are doing. They're trying to silence our voice, whatever the case may be. And that's the thing, is that we need more people to see through what's going on and to say, hey, enough is enough. Like, you can have your views, you can have your opinions. That is fine. That is what the world in this country is built on. But what is not fine is trying to force people to accept your views and your opinions. And that's what's going on. This is all manipulation. We've talked about it tonight. We've talked about that this money isn't going where it's supposed to go. There's another side to this. It's politicized to high heaven, and people are stupidly behind this. And people, you need to think for yourselves. It's okay if you want to take a different stance, if you want to be on a different side of the aisle, but there's such a thing as talking. What happened to talking about this stuff? What happened to a good old healthy debate? What happened to maybe getting passionate? Maybe that's the fun of debating, right?
Twitter.
Twitter.
I mean, I've debated with PB tons of times, and some reason he still comes back.
Yeah, you lose every time.
Oh, that is not facts, sir. I've at least won a couple. I can't remember what ones, but I know there were a few in there I've won.
Exactly. Can't remember shit.
So, I mean, this is the whole reason I do these things, and why I want to do these segments is because we've had a lot of good interactions. Thank you for everyone who's watching. I appreciate all
You're
of
welcome.
your comments, but we can sit here and talk about this, and we can have a friendly discussion. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is,
you know the most amazing thing about this? You have a white guy, you got a Puerto Rican, and you got a black guy right here talking.
I am not black.
Okay. Okay. What should I say you are, PB? So I get it straight.
I'm ginger.
Okay, you're ginger.
I just have a black cousin on YouTube.
And Lee doesn't tell nobody that he's half Puerto Rican.
I know he doesn't. He likes to tell people he's from Queens.
Right now he's mad. He's like, Dad, why did you just tell everybody I'm half Puerto Rican? You're never coming back on this show again.
No, if I tell people, they just go, "You're white." So I just at a point, I just like, okay, whatever. But isn't that the whole point though of this conversation, right? Is that people are judging.
There's a melting pot having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you that, it's quite possible. Because believe me, I don't agree with my son on a lot of things. And as for PB, I don't know him.
Nobody does.
Yeah, that's why you don't show your face. You're just a voice.
I'm a disembodied voice.
Yes. In a room. You're a voice in a room somewhere, trapped.
and he gets on the airwaves every now and again. But yeah, I'm gonna start winding things down, wrapping things up. This isn't one of our long 3-hour marathons. I like to keep this short because really, what else can you say about this topic? It's
Oh, you didn't want to make this a Black Lives of Thorns? 7 hours?
You want to hear something? We used to get into Game of Thrones. We would break down the episodes. That was a 7-hour stream of dissecting.
The only person listening to you were you guys. We're listening to each other.
Well, when we started, yes. Then we got quite a bit you'd be surprised how many people were salty about that show. But no,
So
the point is,
so Lee and I we're discussing on Saturdays we're gonna have a format at 10 p.m. where we're gonna discuss major topics, and hopefully we can increase our viewership, and people will see that we're serious, and we're trying to. This isn't about anything except having discussions, and we're hoping that people can really become part of the discussions by asking us lots of questions.
yeah, I mean, people pass this around. We're going to do this every Saturday, 10 o'clock, but this is going to be a place where we can talk about these issues that you're not going to hear from the media. And if you try to talk about it on Twitter, you're going to get those idiots who are going to come out on the other side and want to shut down your voice. And look, this platform, YouTube, is supposed to be about this, right? All of you people watching, everybody who's been nice enough here to comment in the chats, this is about you guys. I want to do this for you guys to come and have, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, a safe space, a friendly, safe space where you could talk about something and you can have an opinion. Look, you can call me a jerk, whatever. I don't care. That's your opinion. You are entitled to that opinion. PB
It's a lot of
states,
people's opinions.
PB states about how great I am all the time, and I tell him, look, it's not the time right now. I know I'm awesome. You don't have to tell me. It's just who I am as a person. But anyways, this channel, what we talk about is going to be for you guys. Come with your opinions, come with your questions. Feel free to ask whatever you want to ask, because there needs to be discussions. The whole point of this whole discussion is that people are being shut down with their opinions, and God forbid you come out and say something against this movement, right? You're called names, you're made fun of, you're saying you don't like black people, you're racist and things like that. And it shouldn't be that kind of discussion. You should be able to talk openly and free about it. And Timon, I'm surprised you didn't get a notification, because maybe YouTube doesn't want me talking about this. But anyways, screw it and screw the algorithm. Here on the channel, we're going to talk about things that we should be talking about. This is our world. We need to be aware. You guys need knowledge and facts and information. And look, everything we discussed tonight, this wasn't fictional. You can go on that site. What was that site that you had? Do you think you can type it into the chat, Dad, so people can look up these facts?
Sure. Yeah, I'll make sure that I can't do it right now, Lee. But I will. It's actually just Black Lives Matters or Act Blue.
Act Blue. So
Act Blue, and you'll see a lot of information about BLM in there. But if you go on Google and put the two together, it'll pop up and give you all the information. And I also have a nice video that I can make sure anybody wants it, just ask Lee, and I will make sure you get it. But it's a video about everything that's being sent out and all the evidence and all the proof. Everything that we're saying is 100%. None of it's like we're making up conspiracies or anything. This is actual truth. And if you have the truth, it's hard for people to discredit. They could try it, but they can't discredit it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you will be set free.
I just noticed there was a lot of people in the chat. Well, a lot of good questions, and you had some loyal people on here that stayed through throughout the whole show, which was nice. And hopefully we can get a
That's
couple.
because Jamie, Vic, Timon, Curtis. Who else was here at the beginning? Was Husky here the whole time?
Yeah, so most of it. Out of Bubblegum was here the whole time.
I wasn't.
Yeah, you were late.
No, you were, as you always are, fashionably late.
I think that he was at a protest.
Uh,
I got hung up in traffic.
Yeah.
There was
oh
a
my
Black
goodness.
Lives Matter protest, except they were black bears.
You went to Black Lives Matter and you were the only black guy there. I'm sorry, you were the only ginger there.
That's right.
Anyways, I'm gonna start winding things down, but
I want to go
tomorrow.
watch some UFC fights, Lee. Get me out of here. I'm going to go.
Okay,
You guys take
so
care. PB, nice talking to you. I'll talk to you next Saturday.
You too.
Okay. You take care, Lee.
We'll see ya.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for doxing me. Anyways, um, so we had a great time talking about this stuff. Thank you guys for showing up. PB, before we go, you got anything you want to plug or?
No, not in particular. Like, I'm just gonna, hopefully Husky can do his magic in the chat here because he has a wrench and he can put the link to the Prophets of Geek Culture channel and my channel, and people can click on that and watch a video. And if they enjoy it, they can subscribe for more content in the future.
Awesome. And tomorrow I will be having a uh, another great review with our favorite Australian, Stevie J. We're going to be talking about video game movies, why some succeed and
You're
why
actually
some.
going to do it this week?
Yeah, Stevie had an emergency with the little dingoes, so we had to postpone it.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah, but
Because I
he
swear,
said,
I woke up and I was like, last week I woke up and I was like, oh shit, that's right. They were doing the frickin' Slam on Pikachu review this week. Bastards. And then I
yes,
woke up and I was like, wait a second, it's still here and it says it's going to be live on the 2nd. That don't seem right. What the hell?
yeah, so I kind of had to readjust everything, but I'll be doing that tomorrow, and I will be doing a live stream to review the Umbrella Academy season 2. I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts. I just started watching it. It's every bit
How many?
weird.
There are 8 episodes, 10 episodes.
It's 10.
10 episodes,
So
and
it's
how many episodes are you in?
2. So I gotta.
Interesting, because we finally watched enough stand-up comedy on Netflix that they moved the Umbrella Academy to the first suggestion instead of cursed.
Yeah, the Umbrella Academy is great. If you guys have a chance, watch it. So far, I'm only 2 episodes in, but so far, I'd say it's starting off better than even the first season. So I'm looking forward to reviewing that. So I'm gonna be doing that, and of course, I have my late night talks on Friday, and next Saturday we will be tackling another serious topic for all you guys to discuss. So thank you so much for stopping by. Everybody have a wonderful evening. And remember, here in the Fandom Zone, Black Lives Matter.